what you're thinking. You're hearing an evil genius, criminal mastermind, and someone who the Time Lords despise. Well, I do not give a hoot. On every world I travel to, chaos reigns, and I assure you that I do things because they are fun. Well, to me anyway. Once upon a time, my body snatched, ruled the world, had a magnificent goatee. You probably think I'm mad for telling you this. Well, I am crazy, because I'm the master. Well, formerly known as him. These days I either go by the mistress, or for short, you may call me Missy. I burn through stars so bright and shining like diamonds. I have had questionable alliances for sure. The Toclafane, the Daleks, the Eminence, even, yes, those Ogrons. I was quite fond of them. But alas, these days I tend to work alone. However, I do sometimes wonder about my own life. I can barely remember how I got this body. I do remember waking up in the TARDIS and I got away. And that was all I could ever think about. Some call me insane. Some call me brilliant. Others would see me, well, dead. And I certainly cannot allow that. Oh, for those glorious days when I was younger, being in Time Wars, teaming with Cybermen, fighting the Doctor and his insufferable little pets. Those days feel like memories now. And I simply cannot allow things like that to worry little old me. I stepped over to the control console of my TARDIS, programmed its flight destination for Earth. I thought to myself, I have not had fun like this for a while. I'm a little bit, well, bored. I'm throwing a tea party for some familiar faces that I know. Marvellous stuff. Real marvellous stuff, really. My master TARDIS is all nice and parked. I shall let them in shortly. Oh, how exciting. What fun it is for me. This should be exhilarating. As the TARDIS doors opened, entering one by one was her guests coming through. Standing at the ready, Missy stood smirking as she seen the first familiar face. Ah, hello, monkey! How are you doing? Entering was a tall-ish man, if you could call him that. He had very curly moustache and looked at me funny.
What's this all about, Missy? Usually you try to kill me of all things.
The meddling monk, as he was commonly known. He was no fan of me. Well, why would he be? I did, after all, ruin his King Henry VIII plan and left him stranded. Then we recently just have been with crab gods and ogrons. What fun. No plans this time, just inviting a few close chums for a tea party so we can be very civilised.
You? Civilised? You'll probably try to kill me with his poisonous scones or tea, which could potentially destroy my heart and stop me from regenerating.
He hissed at Missy. She stopped and smiled. Trust me, if I wanted you dead, then I most certainly would have done it by now. Please take a seat by the table, as I must greet the rest of the guests. The monk went over to the table. He sat down and was not amused that he is on board a very impressive time capsule that was made from stolen parts of his TARDIS, and that he could tell it was made from the destruction of her old one. Next to come on board was two familiar faces to her. About time, man! I was waiting for you for a while, but Stumpy over there was not on the guest list. How disappointing that I now must make something else for wee Humpty Dumpty. I just hope things go on time. Funny, since we're a time machine.
Be nice, Missy. And our role is only here to help me in case you decide to go off the deep end again. Yeah, we know what you're like, given you tried to feed me to rabbit sea turtles you engineered.
I was bored. Can you blame me?
Yes, it was a rhetorical question. No, Doctor.
How do you like my TARDIS? I know what you're thinking. It is quite lush, is it not?
I would be impressed if you did not steal my console design.
Missy felt insulted. She went to a great length to build this TARDIS. Sure, it did have some similarities to the Doctor's current control room, but it was more powerful than his could ever be, or he could ever dream of. The doctor and Nardole made their way to the table. A pause came, and sudden anger was lurking in the doctor's eyes when he seen right in front of him who this first guest was.
Oh no, not you. I'm sorry, but we met before. You seem familiar to me somehow, and yet I'm not quite sure. Nardole, come on, we're going. Have I done something to offend you, sir? I have not even been sat down long enough to have a sip of my tea, which I'm pretty sure she planned to kill me. Nardole, we're out of here. As this Time Lord, yes, I know who you are. He is one I absolutely despise still for his insufferable meddling with history. You like to be known as the meddling monk, don't you? I'm not the monk. Why does everyone call me that? Wait. Hello, Doctor.
While the monk was smiling with glee at seeing his old archenemy on board, Missy greeted her final guest. An alien-like figure had arrived, wearing all black with a balding head, though it had a bit of slicked back hair. Ah, Garon, so nice to see you.
Stay fit, Missy. Me do not understand why you invited me after what you did to Ogron Empress.
Well, for a bit of afternoon tea and a bit of cake and maybe some selfies, all in the name of fun.
Only fun, me know, is Ogron wanting to use plaster on you for what you've done.
Please do sit. As the guests are all at the table, the Venusian coffee is all brewed to 100 degrees, just like how me and the doctor likes it. Come now and sit, and then we can all have a nice chat with lemon cake. Tea is also on offer, and some stunning waters from Peladon. Marvellous stuff, you know. As Missy and Garong headed for the table, they were the last to sit. A moment's silence filled the TARDIS hum. Well, this is nice, is it not? Missy broke the silence. The doctor was not happy. Not only Missy kept her TARDIS a secret from him, the fact he had to be table partners with the monk and an Ogron infuriated him.
Missy, you dragged us here for just a tea party?
Yes, my dear monk. I just wanted to see how things are and how you all are.
I can understand me, the doctor, and whoever you are next to him. But why this planet of the apes with a pistol here? And it cannot be this simple with you.
Me no like remarks of this one. He is very rude.
I think he's rude too, Mr. Ogron, sir. Oh, if you are a sir, of course. Nardole said in a rather upset tone. He does not like being trapped with Missy, let alone at the best of times. Now he is in a room with 3 Time Lords, well, 2, and a Time Lady who is dangerous to the universe. He was not at his best, and meeting an Ogron who he unintentionally insulted.
You know, Missy, if you wanted just a tea party, then you could have had one back at my office at the University on Earth.
Nice try. But I do not want to be locked in having a party. Oh, that reminds me. I better go and fetch my lemon cake, which was made with the fruits from the Gamma Forest, baked in the ovens of Venus. Oh, it's to die for. Back in a jiffy bag. Missy left the table, leaving the guests alone. Not a moment was wasted. Turning around, the doctor looked dead in the eyes at the meddling monk.
How can you be here? I like the new face. Reminds me of that one with the insufferable cape. You know what I mean. Oh, this you mean? Quite a simple story, this is. Like the Master, or Missy, or whatever she's known as now. I was just another one who fled the war. No way did I want to be fried by the Daleks.
Daleks are good bosses to Ogrons, unlike Master was.
I know. I think we established that last time we met your species. Anyway, I ran and hid on Earth as King Henry VIII. And I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for that meddling Missy.
Suddenly Missy returned carrying a tray full of teas, coffees, and in the centre was the bright, glowing yellow cake she was referring to. Her special lemon cake, which she baked just for this party. We're talking about me, monkey, because I tell you now that you will not also be getting a slice of this cake first now. It is likely going to be now going to Goldilocks, or Planet of the Ogron here.
Hey, what did me say? Me no like this reference to this Earth movie. It is disgraceful to be compared to a not even good movie.
Hush! Or else instead of this lovely banquet, you'll be eating a pile of week-old bananas, which I have no doubt you will enjoy.
Missy put the cake down. It was piping hot still. She poured the drinks and a special ale for the ogron, as though they would eat probably mud and not be full. Missy was thrilled to be of service, eating up, and Nardole smiled at how good it was. The monk was hesitant, but ate at his own pace. The doctor put his 8 sugars in his Venusian coffee.
Now, dear, you may drink with that many sugars, but the dentist will not like it. It's fine. When I regenerate, I always grow new teeth anyway.
Quiet down, you two. Me really like this food.
Missy and the doctor went silent. Suddenly, Missy checked the time on her fob watch.
Oh, goody! It's nearly 3 o'clock.
Everyone looked at her suspiciously.
What? I'm counting down until my cookies are ready to come out of the oven.
A sigh of relief was heard. This was from Nardole, who was feeling more relaxed now time ticked on. 1 minute had passed, and before it was 3 o'clock, something strange was happening at the table. Garong was turning the shade of purple.
Garong? What's wrong? If you were allergic to the cake, you should have said. And I would have cooked you my scrumptious, scorchy stew.
Coughing and spluttering, Garong replied,
Me dying. Missy, you betrayed us again.
The ogron collapsed on the table. The doctor, Nardole, and the monk got out of their seats in a state of shock and horror.
Well, I'm out here then. Ta-ta and adios. I would say it was a pleasure, but with you, it is nothing. I can assure you 3 that I had nothing to do with this. Missy, do not lie to me, and not now when there's a body lying on the floor. Doctor, I genuinely have invited you for a cup of tea and a wee tea party, and now I've got a dead ogron fouling up my nice clean carpet. Doctor, are we poisoned also? The doctor turned to Nardole, and then back to Missy. Well, Missy, are we?
I do not know. This had nothing to do with me. Getting a bit hazy. Wee bit wonky. Missy collapsed on the floor. Doctor and Nardole turned and looked up quickly at the monk.
Of course, it had to be you. I did say I would swear revenge, Doctor. She humiliated me twice. And that makes it okay. You know, I thought you could have changed and gotten better, but no. You still are very irresponsible in your meddling, and worst of all is that I still have not forgiven you for what you did back in the day, aligning with the Daleks and the death of my friends. You keep getting lower each time I see you. Whatever, Doctor. Spare me the sob story. Missy's still alive, Doctor. Just checked on her hearts and they're still beating. Thank you, Nardole.
The monk was fuming. He thought he could get rid of the doctor and Missy by using the death of the ogron as a distraction.
Well, it does not matter anyway, you fools, as I'm going to steal this tardis, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Nardole felt around his jacket pocket. Suddenly he pulled out a circular object and rolled it under his feet at him. A whoosh happened, surrounded in light. The monk was trapped.
Ah, what is this? Pocket prison. Smaller on the outside and bigger on the inside. Gallifrey technology? You cannot be serious, since Gallifrey does not exist in the universe anymore. Picked it up on my last trip home. I will deal with you once sorted, Missy.
The doctor went over to his friend while Nardole was dealing with the monk.
This prison is good, isn't it? If you try to break out, it will just keep shocking you. You make a runner and you will be knocked out. You're bluffing. Try if you dare. Go on then. I will not stop you.
The monk ran up and screamed and screamed as the electronic field shocked him and knocked him unconscious. The doctor fixed Missy by lifting her up with a dash of cinnamon and Venusian coffee. Missy woke up. Well, this was certainly not how I was expecting the day to go. Nardole escorted the monk out of his tardis. he went to find his own TARDIS and dump him in it with a tracker, so that if he ever came back, the Doctor would find him wherever he landed.
Well, he is resourceful yet, even if he is insufferable. Nardole has a good heart, even if he's part robot these days.
True, but I will need him to help me get rid of that Ogron body. It would be better than having to do the work myself.
Missy.
Fine. I'll do it. Missy went to the control panel. She used the controls and vanished Garong out of the ship. Garong's body is now returned to the Ogron homeworld. That is that done. But my Doctor, you sure know how to flatten a girl.
I beg your pardon?
Quite simple. Death and tea before 3 o'clock.
You knew this was going to happen.
Well, just a smidge.
Missy.
Fine. I knew Garong would be killed, but I was not expecting to be turned on by that little buffoon again, the monk. I may have gotten rid of that beast, but I did not know Captain Mustachio was going to turn on me. Oh, do not be such a spoilsport now, Doctor. Come now. After all, we're going to do this again. Under better circumstances, of course. You have been listening to Missy Trips, Death and Tea Before 3 o'clock. Was written by Matthew Rose. This was read by Alia E. Torrie. Cover art by the Rebel of Time. Sound design, producer and director, Matthew Rose. This has been a Vidography production. Ta-ta! Ha ha ha!